This invitation came to ArkDes at such a wonderful moment because we're looking into one of our most important archives and parts of the collection, which is the Sigurd Leverance archive. We have all of his drawings, and of course he's one of the most compelling practitioners of the 20th century in architecture, certainly one of the ones most of interest today. So we sort of took it as an opportunity to look at aspects of his work which certainly remind you of the manifesto, these questions of the unexpected extra gestures that architecture can make, those parts of buildings that are partly a part of the public realm, part of the building, ambiguous in that way. And we ended up looking at 3 canopies outside 3 religious buildings which have precisely those qualities. Some of them very formal, some of them very informal, some of them places for meeting and chatting, some of them that feel very much part of a ritual. You know, there's a great deal of diversity between these 3 canopies, but we think they each have something to say about the theme. When I think of the manifesto, the words that stick with me are words like generosity. The idea of generosity and openness is something that we all aspire to and feels like a valuable thing to say in the contemporary city. But in a way, I like Leverance's work in this context because it pushes that perhaps even a step further. It's not enough to just open up space. You have to sometimes create space, create a direction to the kind of natural environment or the environment that these buildings find themselves in. And that's definitely how you feel, particularly at the 2 cemeteries in Malmö and in Stockholm, where these created, designed landscapes have profound meaning. And they operate, of course, at a kind of existential register of architecture. And that might feel like an exception. You know, we have housing crises all over the world. We have all of these kind of very pragmatic needs in contemporary architecture. But actually, I think looking at an architect working at the very highest level in these questions is really important today. We need somebody who can tell us stories about why we're here on Earth, you know, what meaning our lives actually have. And these are buildings that try to do that, and you have to applaud that, and you have to try to really dig into what's behind that impetus, what's behind that artistically, and that's what our room tries to do. We are really excited about the idea of bringing not just, of course, the drawings and the material to the Biennale, which is wonderful in itself, but inviting 2 of Sweden's most important and most interesting architectural artists, you could say, 1 photographer, 1 architect, to make interpretations of these spaces and these places. So Petra Gipp, who's one of Stockholm's most interesting architects emerging right now, always works in her process with modelling. Very beautiful, quite abstract plaster models usually. And we've asked her to kind of scale that up, or her proposal is to scale that up and really create a kind of bodily experience of these 3 canopies in the space. And then Mikael Olsson, a great photographer, has taken new photographs in all of these spaces. He spent days and days and days documenting these spaces and these canopies in different weather conditions, different sort of moments in their lives, if you like. And you'll sort of get traces in his photos of the contemporary life of these buildings, and that's something we're really excited about.